Hi everybody. Today I thought I'd try something a little bit different for my confirmation video. I have on my Colonial Williamsburg t-shirt and I'm here in our church sanctuary. I put on this shirt this morning because I was thinking about how much I love history. I love going to Williamsburg, one of my favorite places. When I was in seminary, a friend of mine was from Finland, and he had never really been to any of the historical places in the U.S. yet, except Gettysburg. So one weekend we took a trip down to Williamsburg, and I was showing him the buildings and everything that's there from the 1600s, 1700s, and I said, this is just such old history for us. And he looked at me and kind of laughed and said, you really need to go to Europe because that's where you get some old history. And when I was in Europe, I got to go to places where Martin Luther was. And Martin Luther, of course, lived in the 1500s. And I was able to stand in some of the exact same places and be in the same churches that Martin Luther had been. But this morning I was thinking about our history windows here in the church. I'm going to kind of turn and show you this one. This one is the history of St. Matthew. And we see our different churches from way back in the 1700s. And they're pictured along the sides of the windows. So that's one thing that we can look at in our church and realize how long of a history that St. Matthew has had. We've been here since the 1700s. Since 1743 is with that log cabin up there at the top. And of course, we come down here to our current church that was built in 1922 to 24. Then we also have another history window, the guy I was talking about here, Martin Luther. We have the Martin Luther window, and there's lots of things going on in that. Of course, there is Martin Luther. Down here at the bottom left, it's October 31st, 1517, and that's Reformation Day. That's the day that Martin Luther put his 99 or 95 theses on the castle church door. That was kind of the thing to do then. Today we have the internet and Facebook and all kinds of places where we can post information. But then it was on that church door. It's kind of like the big town bulletin board. But on this day, like I said, is Reformation. Now, we're pretty sure, actually we know for sure, that we won't be able to have our confirmation this year as we normally do on Pentecost Sunday. And Pentecost Sunday is our next window. This is our Pentecost window, and it envisions there at the top the flames of the Spirit coming down on the disciples' heads. So that is when we usually call the birthday of the church. And like I said, we often have confirmation that day, but we're not going to be able to do that this year. But we are looking to have confirmation on another traditional day of Reformation Sunday. So that would be that last Sunday in October. We'll have to wait and see what we can do for that. But in the meantime, think about your history in our church. What has been your past here? What are some things that you've learned about our history that interest you and you might like to know more about? One of our youth said he really was interested in things about Martin Luther. So we'll talk about Martin Luther a little bit more this week. But in the meantime, stay in, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.